Hey guys, my name is Nexus, and I am back with more Ghostmaster. We now have two levels to choose from. We have the Calamityville horror, and we have Weird Science. Now there are a lot of pop culture references and movie references in this. There's a lot of references to sort of stereotypes of suburban societies, I guess would be the best way to put that. So we have, of course, here a reference to an 80s movie called Weird Science, and of course the Amityville horror. Kind of obvious with this one, but let's go ahead and take a look at this one first.
A sweet little old lady used to dwell within these walls, but her mind was fading, and her sanity fleeting. She loved receiving visitors, and hated to see them go. So she administered arsenic in their tea, and made certain they would stay a while. Stay forever! The house itself has become unsettled by these events, and although it is not truly sentient, we still have a duty to protect the interests of the unseen world. Let the events that have until now been hidden become known to the mortals. Reveal the corpses to them, and your goal shall be fulfilled. But beware, for one cadaver may not suffice to convince the skeptical police that something sinister is afoot.
Okay, so you'll see that we have one more slot now on our team. Eventually we're going to graduate up to, of course, a full 8. There's enough room for it. Should be fairly obvious. Anyway, there's a couple things that we can do here. One of our issues is going to be mana. If you don't scare people over the course of a mission, you continually lose plasm, or mana, essentially. So we're going to end up being starved at the end of this if we're not careful. So with that in mind, we have one of these, which is Whirlweird. Now, Whirlweird attaches to children only. There are maybe 4 or 5 levels that actually have children out of the 14 total. So you can imagine how useful these can be sometimes. However, you may have noticed in the intro movie that there were 3 ghosts that we need to get. So with that in mind, there are always certain requirements, and the recommended team will usually fulfill those requirements for getting those ghosts to the best of their ability. So I'm going to go ahead and explain here which ones we absolutely cannot do without. Now, one of the important things is that when you go back to missions, you usually can't bring your newer haunters back with you. It's kind of weird. You have to do it from like the point that you were at, essentially, as I understand it. So Stonewall here has Tremor. We need that absolutely to free 2 of the ghosts. We actually can't do anything without that. And then we have Boo here. Boo is just kind of a good general all-around ghost because he kind of just goes to the inside. One of his other things that he does is rattle chains, and it tends to freak people out and bring them to the area, so it's usually a good way of getting them to go find the bodies, which is our objective in this level. So the other thing, of course, is about objectives. If you complete the objective of the level before freeing the ghosts, you've basically gone and screwed yourself there, because you're going to have a tough time. You have to go back and do it again and actually get the ghosts before it's going to actually fix itself, essentially. You're going to end up being without that ghost for a while. Or at least until you go back and get them. The problem is that this is in various chapters, so if you don't do that as soon as possible, you may lose the opportunity to do so. I believe you can actually skip over certain ghosts that don't come back, so you may end up losing some if you don't realize that they're there. Anyway, the other thing that Boo does is Kinesis, which just makes a whole bunch of things fly around the room. There's something with that that could make it a little bit more useful. I'm not sure if it's actually necessary, but it might be, so I usually bring him along anyway because, well, he binds to the inside. That's pretty OP in this game. to be sure of that. So Weather Witch also kind of just has this and Thunderclap, which is going to scare quite a few people across the entire map. It will cover the majority of most maps in terms of the map size and the size of this Thunderclap. So if you're going to be scaring people, it's usually good to bring her, especially because she works so well in hallways and pathways and just, you know, thoroughfares. So then we have Ghastly here. What we need him for is exclusively this. We don't need him for anything else because our goal in this mission is not actually to scare everybody away. So usually he'd be a heavy hitter, but this time we don't really need him for that. So one of the only ones that's kind of iffy is this one, which is of course Whirlweird. Binds to a child, it gets kind of weird. Fool's Errand makes them go look for things, and that can be useful. But if you're used to this, it's kind of a hit or miss thing. Usually you'll have to have a little bit of RNG before they'll actually go get them anyway, even if you do have Fool's Errand, so it doesn't really speed it up or not. So if you want, you can get rid of Whirlweird and bring in something like Clatterclaws to keep up the tension a little bit on the hapless humans. But anyway, let's get on with the mission.
Reveal the hidden corpses to the mortals.
So, as always, let's introduce the trapped ghosts in this.
So, I'm up on this roof, fixing the shoddy coax antenna, thinking a coat hanger would do better, when I start feeling queasy. I'm thinking maybe the little old lady used non-dairy creamer in the tea, when my gun explodes! I made a grab for the chimney, but I guess I lunged too far, because now I'm stuck in it. Give me a hand, would you?
Alright, so as a fun fact, we're going to be using the Tremor ability up here. I'm going to go ahead and just sort of think about that. Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that. He's going to do his thing for a bit. We get to see a little cutscene here, shows us what's happening, just kind of to let us know what's going on. Now, the other thing I need to do is come down here super quick. I could spend time waiting, but I figured you guys have been waiting long enough, so when his power recharges, he'll use it again down here, which we absolutely need him to.
She seemed like such a sweet old dear, making me tea and all when I came to fix the boiler. Next thing I know, I'm a dead man, and she's bricked me up. I reckon I could escape into a mortal's body if someone would just get close enough.
Alright, so Grandpa Hutz, or wait, no, that's not Grandpa Hutz, that's Steve. Okay, Steve Hutz tends to come down here, turn on the lights, and just kind of generally poke around, so he'll usually be the one to actually notice the issue when the tremor breaks down this wall a tiny bit. It's not overly dramatic, but it's just a tiny thing. So the thing I do here is bitter cold, usually makes them turn on the fireplace. She's thinking about it, but she's not gonna. She usually doesn't. It's usually Greg over here who lights the fire, which can be kind of frustrating, to say the least, because he'll often also wander upstairs as well. Anyway, we're attaching this for Fool's Errand. Hopefully someone's going to actually light the fireplace, but I can't guarantee it. If we do start having an issue with it, there are a couple of other things that we can do that may make someone light the fireplace. But mostly, like I said, it's just RNG, we have to wait. So let's talk to our third ghost up here.
Hello, sir. Or madam, or, well, whatever you are. Can I interest you in our range of facial care products? Our hydrating night silk works in conjunction with our non-foaming, revitalizing face wash and our botanical moisture splash. May I spritz you with our fragrance? If we could just arrange to demonstrate our products on one of the ladies of the house, I'm sure we can reach some amicable arrangement regarding the purchase of our fine range of perfumery and cosmetic enhancement solutions.
So one of the things you want to be careful about as well, which I don't always mention, for the most part, you're relatively safe. Oh good, she's lit the fire. Alright, so she's gonna call for a handyman because there's a whole bunch of smoke coming out of the chimney, and that ain't good. So we're gonna go ahead and ignore that right now. You can see that she's calling on the phone. That's because they'll also occasionally call for people who aren't very nice. So we do want to be a bit careful if somebody's getting on the phone when we don't want them to be. Now I can actually go ahead and bench him, or basically take him out of his fetter, desummon him, however you'd like to explain that. And there's a couple ways that we can get people down or up or around here. So, yeah, we do need to keep up the tension just a tiny bit, just enough to get people to go places. But either way, one of the things you do have to be careful about is the action cameras.
The handyman has arrived. He may be useful in revealing the bodies.
Alright, so the action cameras can actually interrupt other action cameras. So it can be extremely frustrating, to say the least. Now I'm hoping she'll think to open this up because she's gonna go get somebody most likely. She's got that little magnifying glass kind of indicating that they're thinking about something. So we can actually get rid of him now. We really don't need him unless the handyman gets stuck. Occasionally the pathfinding in this can be a little bit wonky, to say the least, so sometimes I have to actually coerce the handyman into coming over into this room. So let's just take a look here. Alright, here goes Steve here. Or what's his name? Alright, so now we're in some kind of trouble territory, essentially. He's found the second body already. There's no lady up here, unfortunately, just yet. So we're actually going to have a small issue pretty soon.
The mortals have discovered a skeleton. Now it must be shown to the police.
Alright, so he's going to call the cops. The handyman is going to be scoping out some stuff as well, particularly the fireplace. So what he's doing right now is cleaning it out, checking it out, what's going on. Here's the skeleton. So he's actually found a second corpse.
It feels good to stretch the old ectoplasm. And now I'm gonna do more than just shock these jokers.
So he is also going to call the police. So one of the issues we face is now there are 2 corpses to be found, and we haven't freed this guy yet. Which can be an issue. You may not realize just how much of an issue that can actually be. But if I use rattle chains down here, I might be able to make him do it. Sometimes the fool's errand will also sort of force him to go downstairs. It's kind of usually where the handyman ends up anyway. So more often than not, the handyman is the one who frees this third ghost down here. So to be a bit of a spoiler, there are 2 cops that show up, a man and a woman. The woman usually goes up to the top up here and uses the case. You'll see that there's some weird pathfinding with Steve over here. I'm going to also...
The police have arrived. Let them conduct their investigation.
Yes, I know. Alright, so one of the other things that's kind of important is getting her to use intrigue. Something that's kind of weird is that you can actually have people, use an ability while they're bound and not saved yet. So we're actually going to go... Whoops. Okay, so he knocked down more of that. Oh boy, I interrupted both of them. Well, that's all my fault. It is really easy to interrupt them, though, as you can imagine.
Can't hang on to this joker anymore. Time for a tea break.
Alright, so we have freed 3 of the ghosts. Or 2 of the ghosts, rather. You can see that she's still stuck, but she'll be okay soon enough. Because we got Diane over here, who might just end up going over here.
The mortal law enforcers have located
Yes, I need
a
her
corpse.
not to do that.
The police will report this body.
Alright, come on.
But it will take the discovery of a second corpse to
Use the
initiate
makeup,
a
please.
full
Thank you.
investigation.
Perfect. So now we're safe. The police may or may not leave. They get a little bit weird. Sometimes they'll leave despite finding both of the bodies really quickly. It's kind of weird that way.
Perhaps that that blusher would better suit Madam if her facial skin tone were paler. Shall we find out?
Alright, so we've actually saved all the ghosts. We basically just need to wait for the police to get up here. Which, they're actually doing surprisingly quickly. That's always nice. The lady cop has actually left, though, which is kind of weird. Also, Grandpa Hutz is not looking so great on the, sanity scale. Alright, I was prepared to use this if he wasn't gonna drop in here, but he's taking some time doing so. Get in there. Please don't leave. What are you doing? This is the one thing I hate. It happens way, way too often. They'll just sort of start, doing weird things. Alright, well, I don't think that he's actually going to be coming back this way anytime soon. He's going to go hang out in the study and talk to people. Yep. This is kind of par for the course. Like I said, there's a lot of sort of RNG involved in this. I'll grant you that he's conducting an investigation, and maybe I should be a bit more understanding of that, but I don't know. To be honest, it's kind of frustrating that you can get someone so very close and they'll just walk in the opposite direction more often than not. So he may actually do it this time. Oh good. Problem solved.
Congratulations! Your haunting goals are complete!
Alright, so you can see we get more points for freeing the ghosts in this level for some reason. Ooh, 31 seconds shy of the next one up. That's amazing. You know, it seems like I always get 350 for this. That's kind of weird. But to be honest, you're not supposed to, you know, shock people, so that's kind of the minimum that you can get at this, time ranking. So, yeah, there's a lot of RNG things. A lot of it's kind of waiting around for the next thing you're intending to happen. Eventually it will get to the point where the only thing we need to do is scare one more person, and they're just not getting scared enough, quick enough. So that has been the Calamityville Horror. I'm Nexus, and I will see you guys next time.